And we are back once again in Nashville as we continue on Yankees Hot Stove here on Yes. Always a pleasure when Don Mattingly can join us on the program. Former Yankee great. I mean, you're still a Yankee great, but you're now manager of the Miami Marlins. And when you left the Dodgers right after the season, there were a few managerial jobs open. What was the allure of the Marlins job?
Teaching and developing. I think that was probably the most exciting thing of that opportunity. It was a young group and a chance to really teach and develop. At 54, I've been with some high payrolls where it's a little different feel. You know you have to kind of almost do it better there to be successful. And that was the challenge. I knew they had a talented group, and being able to go in there and be able to teach, put a staff together that develops, it's a serious challenge.
Don, one of the players at the top of that talented group, Jose Fernandez, and you can't walk around this place without hearing his name bounce off the walls. Mike Hill, the general manager, has said, listen, we're not shopping this guy, but people might ask us about him. I'm imagining that on opening day, you'd love to be able to just have him there and put his name as your starting pitcher?
Oh, no question. I think when you have a starter of that caliber, and anybody even thinks that he may be available, you're going to start getting calls. And that's what I think has happened with Jose. This guy is one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball. You can match him up with anybody, anywhere, and you got a good chance of winning that night. And that's a good feeling for me.
You've already mentioned payroll, but you go from the Dodgers, who spent almost $300 million last year, to a team who's right around 65. How much more difficult is it to put a roster together and manage a team like that?
I think there is challenges. The good thing about the Marlins, that core group is really talented. So you don't sit there and say, we got to go get this in our lineup. I can put a lineup together right now, today, and feel good about it. With us, it's going to be a matter of depth. Can we stay healthy? If we don't stay healthy, then we're dipping into the minor leagues. We're not going to be able to get into the trade deadline, things like that. So our challenges are depth. But our talent is there, and then you got to help them develop and kind of turn them into a winning club.
So having said that, how much have you dug into not only the major league team, but the 40-man roster, the minor league situation? Because there is, as you said, a lot of very young talent that needs to be molded.
I'd say the 40-man is about as far as I've got to this point. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind since the season ended, a lot of stuff going on, holidays, different things. But trying to get informed about our players. The core group, I kind of know who they are and watch them on the field. It's the kind of the things I want to know as a manager. Is this guy a worker? Things I don't get to see behind the scenes, not on the field. So I want to find out if he's a worker, what kind of teammate he is, how are we going to form this team and put it together.
Don, so many Yankee fans have their own memories of you and the images that stick out for them. I remember your final game in Seattle and how even in loss, you seemed satisfied that you'd left it all out there. From that moment, when do you decide, you know what, I may want to come back into baseball. I may want to be a manager, and now a manager for a second franchise?
Well, definitely, actually before that, while I'm playing my last few years, you start to get interested in what the manager does and how do you form the team. I used to watch Tony La Russa's teams come into Yankee Stadium and how they played, what Buck was able to do, really learning from all the different managers at that point. The Yankees were more of a turnstile. I played for Billy 3 different times, Lou a couple of times, Yogi, Stump. It just kind of continued every year. I knew what that also did to a team, but I took from each one of those guys. There were good and bad that it formed my opinions of how do they affect the team. And that interested me. How can I affect the culture, the clubhouse? How do I want guys to play? How do I affect that? And that's what really interested me about and got me interested in managing.
You said it's been busy, it's been a whirlwind, but you were able to put a coaching staff together, and it includes Barry Bonds. What made him the right fit?
I think the timing of it. The time was right. Barry's been out of the game, I think, maybe for 8 years. He's excited about being back into the game and teaching. He said all the right things. I think it's the perfect guy at the perfect time for us. We've also got a guy named Frankie Manachino that works with him. Barry, the one thing he hasn't done is be a hitting coach and know all the little stuff you have to do with that. But Barry's excitement, Barry's knowledge, is something that could be very, very beneficial for some of our young guys.